Okay, good Monday morning or evening wherever you are, or afternoon, or whenever you're watching this. Maybe you're watching this on a Tuesday. We are going to be looking at a couple of new features that came out in Flow last week. They're actually really cool. So today's going to be a fairly light one. All right, let's go ahead and just open up Flow and just have a look at them. They're super cool though. So here's Flow. I am going to start by looking at this. So we added something that probably could have been added a long time ago. You can export animated PNGs, just like, so here I've just created this really simple animation where we have 9 layers and each one just turns off and then turns back on. See, just goes like that. And the way that we did that is by, using steps. So here they're all on, that one switches off, this one switches off, they all switch off, and then they all switch back on, their opacities. Easy. So if I go up into here and I can export this now as a PNG sequence, I can put it on the desktop, and then whatever the name is going to be, it's going to export a bunch of frames. And here I think I exported at 30 frames per second, so we should see a lot of images. There we go. See that? We just generated all of those. So it's 2 seconds or 1.8 at 30 frames, so we got 54 frames. 55 actually, because with an animation you have the first frame and the last frame as part of it, so 54 plus 1. Okay, let's just delete those. That's really cool. Now, here's a nice feature that I really like, and we had some people asking for it. So if we just head on over to Dribble, and let's say we were working on an animation. We wanted to see, and we wanted to actually rebuild somebody's work. Oleg Frolov has some really nice stuff that he does. And then, for instance, let's say we wanted to make this processing loop, okay? We wanted to know the timing and things like that to try and rebuild it in Flow. Well, what we could do, we could go here, we could right click, and we could save that image as, and we're just gonna drop it onto the desktop. And it's a GIF. And then we're just gonna look at this. We're gonna press Command I to bring up the data, and it is 1600 by 1200. So let's go into Flow. Let's create a new project. There it is, just popped up on my other screen. And let's center that one. We're going to create an empty timeline. We're going to take that scene. We're going to make that scene 1600 by 1200. We're going to press Command 2 to zoom out, and then we're going to press Command I. We're just going to import an image, and now with that GIF, I'm going to hit open. And what Flow is going to do is going to take a little time to think about this one, because there's quite a few frames in it. It's going to do that, and then it imports it. So just like an image, it puts an image on the scene, but the difference here is Flow is now going to check your images to see if there are any animated frames. All right, so it's going to take that first frame, it's going to add it as an image, and then it's going to check to see if there's anything else in there, and it'll check PNGs, and it'll also check GIFs. And from there, what it'll do is it starts to add key values for those frames as they go along. Okay. It will do its best to interpret the amount of time for everything, and then you get an animation that looks like this. There you go. So we are actually playing that animation back and forth. Okay. Let's play it again. And here you can see that there's tons and tons of frames, just like that. We can loop. So now you're going to be able to do some tracing with anything that you import. All right. Either it's going to be tracing, or you're just going to use that for positioning things and making sure your timing is okay if you're trying to learn how to rebuild something. Now, the really interesting thing about this is it's not just a GIF, right, it actually has frames, so you can actually change the timing of things. So here, there we go. You can play around with them. You can do things like this. You can move them back and forth like this. You can take a bunch. You can move a bunch over here. You can do some wild stuff like that. And you might actually be able to come up with some new kinds of aesthetics where you're playing around with the frames of things. You take those, you distribute them, and then you hit play, and you get this like odd stuff happening. Okay, so you can actually play with the frames of an animated GIF, which is cool because now you can do some really funky remixing kind of stuff. And you get, I think if you guys would be creative with this, you could really make some cool shit out of it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can export PNG sequences, you can import animated images. What else can you do? Another lovely feature that we implemented was this one. All right. I have this animation right here. And the first little bit of it, it says animate fonts in Lottie. And then it goes a little bit crazy. And it has all of these animations in it. So there's that label, and what's happening here is the label right up here is changing. So the text is changing and the font is changing every half a second or so. See that? The string is changing and the font is changing. And then right here, I turn off all the opacity on this label, and then I have these labels right here that are positioned just so they look like the word Lottie, and then they go into their crazy animating of their file, or sorry, of their fonts, like this. Animate fonts in Lottie. And so I'm just doing tons and tons of little font changes. And if I went and exported that to Lottie Web or Lottie iOS or Lottie Android, we're going to see that it animates there as well. We're done. Good. Okay. And here it is. Here's my thing, and there we go. That's it playing back in Lottie. Okay, so now there's a little bit more. There's a, like, not only do we have better font, like font animation stuff in Lottie, we actually have a little bit better font handling in general in Lottie, because there was all these weird tricks that we had to do with like ascenders and changing things and positioning and things. So fonts are just going to be a little bit more accurate in Lottie as well. And you have this feature where you can go and change the text and change the font all at once or whatever, and be able to see those in Lottie as well. Now, the last little one that we have actually is a really nice and simple thing that we could have, we probably could have created before as well. So if I went and I said, let's just create something simple to look at. All right, we're gonna we're not gonna link a sketch file. We're just gonna create an empty timeline. We are gonna drop a new shape in there. And let's make that big. Ooh, let's make that big. And then let's just like animate it out like that. Boop. Something. Okay, it's just gonna come in. And then we're gonna export. Now we're gonna have an HTML output. There's also an HTML just like this, and we're gonna double click. And what's happening here, let's go like this. Let's do this one more time. Let's go like this. Where did you go? Where did you go? Oh, I can't even use Flow today. Window, Untitled. I'm going to click that scene. We are going to mask that scene, and then we're going to export again. And we're going to hit open. Okay, and so that is this one now. It's the exact same thing, except now that the scene is masking. And we're going to bring that over here. and there you go. So it's masking and then it's coming in. So what did we do differently today? All right, there is no driver here anymore. All right, so this is really handy, especially for any pro users that want to be able to just ship some code to their devs, or to just use the code without having to strip out the driver that was the default version for exporting from Flow. You now have this ability. It's just like a little bit cleaner when you export, and a little bit more friendly. Okay, there were a bunch of other little things that we ended up doing. And let me just do one more thing here. Let me just do one more thing. Yeah. So, there's like one more thing that we did, which was, there's just a bunch of other little things under the hood that we did to give a little bit more stability. And we're actually going to be working on a little bit more stability in the next couple of weeks, because we just noticed some weird new behavior with macOS, where there were some rounding issues and we were running into some bugs with copying and pasting key values, especially with like copying and pasting in from Sketch and XD. We were able to fix those little features as well. So I guess I should have created a new sketch file, because now I can show you just the copying and pasting has come back to it. It's going to remind me later. I'm going to open up my Flow document and just switch over. So we had this for quite a while, and then something changed and it didn't work for some time. And I don't know, I'm just sitting here waiting for Sketch to open. The other thing that we can do I even have XD on here? XD. Let's open it up. So traditionally with any tools that aren't Sketch or Figma, if there's no tools, Sketch and Figma, we have these direct imports, but any other tools like Illustrator, Affinity, all this, any other design tool basically, you are supposed, well, what you can do is you can export an SVG and then you can import that SVG into Flow. All right. Now with XD, we added the ability to go and copy and paste shapes out of XD and into Flow. So if you have something like a button or some outline text or a logo or anything else like that, you can copy and paste those things directly into Flow. And very similar, you know, here is the thing with Sketch, and just to show you that it actually does work, there you go. We're back to being able to copy and paste with Sketch. Okay, so just a few little things, some features that are actually going to make it much easier for you to do recreations, for you to export things, and a bunch of stability work. So this is what we put into Flow over the last couple of weeks and months. And what else are we going to talk about today? So we're not going to do any animation today. Mainly, I need to think about what the next set of animations are. So if you actually have any ideas, let me know and I will do those. Otherwise, we have a couple of bugs that popped up from our new features that we are going to fix, especially with fonts and Lottie and importing from Figma, and a couple of other feature requests that we're going to do in the next couple of weeks. All right, so just let me know. Let us know. Get on Slack. Send us a message over email, info@createwithflow.com, etc. And if you really want to show some people what all these features are in a snappier little way, we actually made a nice video on Vimeo for you to go and have a look. So I'm just going to hop on over to Vimeo here. I'm going to close this file. I'm just going to delete it because I don't want it anymore. And here we go. And this one, where did you go? There it is, right there. We're gonna expand, and I'm gonna turn off my music over here in Chrome. Window. We're gonna go back to Vimeo. We're going to play this large, and all of the animations in this I did in Flow. Okay, let's switch over. Okay, that's it. That was our release. Actually, it showed me one more thing that I forgot to show you. There's actually direct links to content now in Flow. So let me just open one more window. Let's do that. Let's bring it over here. We're going to get rid of Vimeo, and this will be the last thing. So you actually have now the ability to open up some direct windows to our content from Flow. So there is actually, from here, there's actually a new little learn one. So we can you can go to the intro cards, you can go to basics, you can get access to all the Flowcasts too. I even put this up on our site on Friday, where we just have all 50 or 40, it'll be 46 by the end of today, casts. Then you can just click them and they'll take you to the link on Vimeo, just like that. And you can also go to our basics videos. If you haven't seen those are fantastic. There's about 30 of those as well, see? And they just introduce very fundamental ideas, and they're usually snippets like 3 minutes long, a minute and a half long, minute 16, that kind of thing. Yeah, and that's available in Flow as well. Okay, so that was a bunch of work that we ended up getting shipped nicely over the weekend or last week sometime, and then just made the announcement last week. So I'll see you tomorrow, okay? And I'll try and come up with some good ideas on what we can animate next.